Hey guys, today we're going to do arithmetic sequences. Goes with 11.2 in your book. So arithmetic is adding and subtracting. Okay, you're going to increase or decrease by a constant amount. So if you look here in this example, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, every time we're adding 2, adding 2, adding 2. That 2 is actually called your common difference. I know difference, you think subtraction. But the common difference between those two numbers is 2. 4 minus 2 gets me 2. 6 minus 4 gets me 2. 8. That's why they call it a common difference. So it's what you're adding each time, or in some cases subtracting each time. So the first example says write the first 6 terms of the arithmetic sequence in which a sub 1, so the first term is 100, and then they gave us one of those recursive formulas again. So let's go ahead. We know a sub 1 is 100. So let's find our second term. Our second term is a 2 minus 1 and then minus 30. So again, recursive means you always need the 1 before it. So 2 minus 1 is 1. So to find the second term, we take the first term and subtract 30. So 100 minus 30 is 70. Hopefully you can do them a little faster after that. But I just wanted to kind of show you where it's coming from. So my third term is 3 minus 1 is my second term minus 30. So 70 minus 30 gets me 40. My fourth term is 4 minus 1 is 3, so it's my third term minus 30, which would be 40 minus 30, which gets me 10. My fifth term is 5 minus 1 is 4, so it's my fourth term minus 30, which is 10 minus 30, gets me negative 20. And last but not least, my sixth term, 6 minus 1 is 5, so it's my fifth term minus 30. So again, we have one of those recursive formulas where you have to have the one directly before it in order to move on. So what do we got here? Negative 50. All right, so there's my first 6 terms. Moving on. So the general term of an arithmetic sequence, it's a formula. So here's your formula. And this is if you want to find any term. So if you want to find the 100th term, you should be able to plug into this and find your 100th term. A sub n is whatever term you want to find. Okay, your nth term. A sub 1 is always your first term. N is your, oh, it's not on here. N is the number of terms. Sorry. So n is the number of terms. Okay, it's whatever n is. So if we found a sub 9, n would be 9. D is your common difference. Okay, whatever you added each time. So this says find the 9th term of the arithmetic sequence whose first term is 6. So our first term, that's our a sub 1. And whose common difference is negative 5. So there's my difference. So we're going to plug into that formula. A sub n equals a sub 1 n minus 1 times d. All right, so a sub n, we want a sub 9. Oh, I don't like that. My a's look like 9s. A sub 1 was 6 plus n, we want 9. 9 minus 1. And my common difference was negative 5. And then you just do the math. 9 minus 1 is 8 times negative 5 is negative 40. 6 minus 40 gets me negative 34. So I know my 9th term is negative 34. So I don't have to sit there and keep saying minus 5, minus 5, minus 5, minus 5 until I get to the 9th term. Kind of like what we did in the last problem. I don't have to sit there and say, okay, this is the first term, this is the second term, this is the third term, all the way up to 9. Right here, I can just say, oh, I'm going to plug in and find my 9th term. All right. Of course, we're going to have some word problems. So here it says the data shows that in 2010, 64% of the U.S. population was white. On average, this is projected to decrease by approximately 0.45% per year. 0.45% per year. So this says write the formula for the nth term. So we're going to use that formula, a sub n equals a sub 1 plus n minus 1 times our common difference. All right, so a sub n equals my first term. So where did we start? Currently at 2010, we're sitting at 64% plus n minus 1. We're going to leave that alone. We don't know what n is. We want for the nth term, so we're going to leave n alone. My common difference, it's decreasing by 0.45%. So it's actually a negative 0.45 is my common difference. Now, this doesn't look too pretty. This doesn't look too pretty. I don't want it to look like a minus. That's a negative. So we're going to pretty it up a little bit. So we're going to leave that 64 alone. We're going to go ahead and distribute. Negative 0.45 times n is negative 0.45n. Negative times a negative makes a positive 0.45. And we can combine some like terms here. So we have a sub n equals 64.45 and then minus 0.45n. So there is my formula, if you will, for the nth term. So I can plug in whatever my n is and I should be able to get out what the percentage is. So that is part A. Part B says what percentage of the U.S. population is projected to be white in 2030. So remember, n is how many years after 2009. So 2030 is, what, 21 years? So n is 21 in this case. All right? N is going to be 21 because it is 21 years after 2009. So we're going to find A of 21. So we've got 64.45 minus 0.45 times 21. And when all is said and done, you should get 55. Understand that is 55%. Because you have to understand what you're finding, what percentage of the U.S. population is projected. 55% is projected. All right. The next one is finding the sum. I know it's a little hard to read this in your notes, so make sure you have a good copy of that formula. S sub n, the sum of the first n terms, is however many terms divided by 2, and then add that first term and that last term. Oops, that's an n. There it goes. So again, a sub 1 is your first term, a sub n is your nth term, and n is the number of terms you're talking about. So here it says find the sum, right? We want to know what should they all add up to. I don't want to sit there and say, okay, the first term is 1, the second term is 3, 1 plus 3 plus 5, whatever it is. I don't want to sit there and add them all up. So I can use this to find the sum for me. Kind of saves you a little shortcut here. Of the first 15 terms, and they gave you a sequence. They started you out. All right. So let's find it. So we need n. We know n is 15 because there's going to be 15 terms. First 15 terms. We know a sub 1 is my first term, which is 3. A sub n, we need a sub 15. A sub 15. I don't know what the 15th term is. So let's use our last formula. I remember we had a sub n equals the first term n minus 1 times d. So let's use that and find out what our 15th term is. So what do we got? The first term is 3. plus n minus 1, so 15 minus 1. And then my common difference. So 3 to 6, we did plus 3. So our difference is 3. To 9 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3. So our common difference is 3. What do we got? 15 minus 1 is 14 times 3. And when all is said and done, you should get 45. So we know that, that's a 5. We know that our 15th term, we know that a, so 15 is 45. So now that we have all of our information, let's find the sum. So the sum would be 3 plus 6 plus 9 plus 12 for the first 15 terms. I don't want to sit there and type all that out, so I'm going to use my formula. So the sum of the first 15, again, there's 15 terms divided by 2. The first term was 3, and the last term was 45, right? That's what we calculated. So we have 15 divided by 2 is 7.5 times 48, and we wind up getting 360. So all those terms, 3 plus 6 plus 9, all the way up to the first 15 terms should add up to 360. Same concept here. You still need the same information, right? It's still the same formula. S of n equals n over 2. Add the first term and the last term, right? So we need n, 1 to 30. 1 to 30 is 30 terms. We need a sub 1. This one we actually have to plug it in and find out. So it would be 6 times 1 minus 11. 6 minus 11 gets me negative 5. So there's my first term. And then we need the 30th term. So a sub 30 is 6 times 30 minus 11. We get 169. All right, 180 minus 11. And now we have all of our stuff we can plug into our summation formula. So we've got the sum of the first 30. Oops. Sum of the first 30 is 30 divided by 2. My first term plus my last term. My first term plus my last term. And then we're going to do a little math. 30 divided by 2 is 15. 169 minus 5 gets me 164. And 164 times 15 gets me 2,460. It just saves you some time. I don't want to sit here, plug in 1, get a number, plug in 2, get a number, plug in 3, all the way up to 30, and then add them all up. That's craziness. So the summation formula definitely saves you some time. Of course, we have to have another word problem. So your grandma has assets of $500,000. One option is she was considering moving into residential for 6 years. Here's your model, and it describes the yearly residential cost n years after 2013. Does she have enough money to pay? So let's find out. Let's use our summation formula and find out if she has enough money. So remember, this is what you have to do to add it all up. And we want 6 years, right? She's going to be living here for 6 years. So we have 6 divided by 2. Oops, I forgot to do. We need to find our first term and our last term. My bad. So our first term is 1,800 times 1 plus 64130. So we're going to get 65,930. There's my first term. And then we need our nth term, our sixth term. 1,800 times 6 plus 64130. And we get 74930. And there's my last term. So 65930 and 74930. And you should get all said and done for 22,580.